We open to an industrial area filled with extras from a Mad Max film. They congregate around a glowing metal anus that promptly dilates and shits out a person. It's Kim, and the welcome party shows their pleasure at his entrance by beating the shit out of him and tossing him around. He lands in the arms of Tom Paris, so he's saved now, right? Not quite, as Paris takes a look into his trusting, babyish face, then punches him in the gut because Tom Paris is a dick. Bandana Rags claims Kim as his, possibly to act as his partner in a badminton match later, but Paris disagrees. He spins a yarn about being a criminal who done some proper scary bad stuff with Kim, only for Kim to turn him in, so he wants revenge. Bandana Rags doesn't seem to care and tries to claim him anyway, though Paris does eventually manage to convince him otherwise. Back at Paris's hut, the two have a little chat. We establish that during a visit to an alien race called the Acriterians, there was a bombing for which they were both blamed, and they're now in an underground prison facility. There are no guards, and they've all had a gadget implanted in their head to make them constantly on edge, I'm guessing to foster mistrust so they don't cooperate to escape. Kim shows his science skills by suggesting that they try to remove the things plugged directly into their brains, but Paris informs him that the last guy who thought this was a good plan is busy being dead. We don't get the chance to debate this further, as an alarm tells us that the bright butthole is about to open again. This time we're treated to what looks like blocks of fudge, which is quite a choice considering the delivery method. After we're shown someone getting shocked when they try to crawl up the neon sphincter, there's a bit of a scuffle over how the food should be shared out. Kim and Paris don't get any of the delicious fudge, but after 2 years of Neelix's cooking, there's a good chance they're already thinking about how to cook that guy's corpse. Back on Voyager, Janeway's been trying to get some answers from the Acriterians for 3 days. They've been resistant to providing access or any data on the whereabouts of Paris and Kim. That changes when their ambassador gives us a call and casually drops the news that they've been accused of terrorism. It seems the Acriterians are having issues with a group called Open Sky and, because of the nature of the explosives used in a recent bombing, they believe that we're involved. At least they say they believe we're involved. Blaming outside influences for the actions of a dissatisfied population is a staple of fascist regimes, so there's a fair chance that's the route we'll be taking this episode. Either way, they're sending a couple of ships to board us and arrest everyone. Some pooping ensues and, rather than fire back, Janeway thinks the prudent choice is to scarp her. Paris and Kim have been scouting the prison. There are no escape routes save for the luminous ring piece that they arrived through. They reiterate the whole force field thing for us, just in case we weren't paying attention at the start, but Paris has found some electronic junk, and hopes Kim can do some science bollocks with it. While they're doing that, Janeway has a different idea for getting them out. Find the people who really did it. The explosive used in the bombing was made from trilithium, a material the dilithium from their warp core can be converted into. Indeed, it's the reason the Acriterians gave for them being implicated, because trilithium isn't present in their system. B'Elanna says there are other ways of making it though, including paralithium, so we're going to check our scans to see if any of the ships in the area were using that. Let's hope so, or presumably we'll have to work our way through ships that use quadrilithium, megalithium, and lithium light, the healthier alternative to full-fat dilithium. Back in the prison, we're ready to give the science bollocks a go. It's a partial success in that it definitely connected with some electricity somewhere. Bandana Rags and his wingmen take an interest and choose now to reopen negotiations on ownership of Kim. There's a round of tense bartering before one of Bandana Rag's mates makes a compelling offer of a sharp knife. To seal the deal, he's even willing to deliver it into Paris's kidneys. The deal is spoiled when Kim himself puts in a late bid by flailing around with the pipe that he electrocuted himself with. Everybody is dissuaded from making further offers, save for the guy who cut someone's throat earlier. Thankfully, he's not interested in a hostile takeover. He checks the wound and declares Paris a bit fucked, before Kim drags him away. We're given a close-up on Throat Cutter making a crack about wanting Paris's boots, so he's presumably going to be important later. When they get back home, they discover they've been evicted. The new tenants seem unwilling to move on, so they're now also homeless. Kim thinks their best chance is with the kindest person they've met so far, good old Throat Cutter. We find him doing some paperwork, presumably to impress upon us that he's more than he seems, and after a bit of bartering, which goes nowhere, Kim offers to take him with them when they escape. Throat Cutter is skeptical, but willing to see where this is going. Meanwhile, Voyager has been tracking down those ships. After a couple of dead ends, they find an Acritarian trader that's piloted by people who are definitely not shifty honest. They're abrupt and hang up on us, but we detect traces of trilithium on board, so Janeway orders them teleported over and the ship searched, presumably not caring that this is a hostile act against the same people we're trying to appease. As an aside, it occurs to me that the Acritarian ambassador must have known that their own ships use material that can be turned into trilithium, so I'm guessing this ties into the thing I mentioned earlier about an authoritarian government trying to blame external influences. If that's the case, simply solving the mystery is probably not going to get the result Janeway wants. Janeway has a little chat with the two, and while one of them refuses to cooperate, the other claims Open Sky are patriots, not terrorists, so it looks like this is going to get ethically messy. Tuvok tells us scans prove the bomb was made on their ship, prompting the guy to confess before asking that the girl, who's his sister, be freed as she had nothing to do with it. He speaks of a prison system where nobody ever escapes, that people are taken away and never seen again. But his sister tells Janeway that they found out where the prison is located, and that Voyager could get their people back by force, presumably with a few Open Sky members legging it at the same time into the bargain. Janeway declines, saying that's not how they do things in the Federation, prompting the sister to call her a coward before Tuvok takes them away. Interestingly, this is the only point in the whole conversation that seems to personally affect Janeway. Was this to show Janeway's surprise at the sister's commitment to her cause? The alternative explanation is that the only thing to get through Janeway's detachment was questioning her courage. Perhaps it was to show that this verbal jab connecting is what causes Janeway to reconsider her position. It wouldn't be the first time, as we did something similar when Kez speared her about her attitude towards the Doctor, an interaction that caused Janeway to change her behaviour. Of course, reconsidering her position on these two would constitute interfering in the internal politics of an independent species, but we already know how Voyager feels about that whole Prime Directive thing, so this could go in any direction. But again, I digress. We're back in the prison, and Paris is telling Kim to go on without him if he gets the chance to break free. The scene is interrupted as Throatcutter turns up and wants to start work on the escape, so off we go. There are similar levels of success, but at least Kim isn't knocked on his arse this time, so it's an improvement. While Kim works on the force field, Throatcutter launches into a speech about the prison and, specifically, the implant in their heads. He says he first assumed it was a form of torture, but over time realized it was an experiment. He believes they're being used to promote fighting so that the prisoners don't start to cooperate, called it, and instead turn on each other. He's got it all written down in his manifesto, which is the sort of thing writers make people say before they start acting unhinged, and Throatcutter doesn't disappoint. He says he believes he was put in the prison to learn the truth about the implants and not because, let's see, he's the sort of person who cuts people's throats. As an aside, we're going to assume the framing of this shot was intentional and give points to the director here for the symbolism of a red halo on a murderer who believes he was chosen for a higher purpose. His monologue is interrupted as Kim's got that special science pipe working. After a quick test of the force field that he bravely gets Throatcutter to do, they unpucker the steel arse and climb inside. A little bit of ducting later and we arrive at a hatch. Except, not quite. It's actually a window. Well, shit. Kim returns to Paris, who's a bit worse for wear. The mixture of implant and stab wound is affecting his memory. After some confusion, he asks Kim not to leave him, and the removal of his cocky bravado makes this one of the few times where I've actually given a shit about him. Later, when Kim wakes, he goes for a stroll and has a chat with Throatcutter. Kim's still trying to think of ways to escape, but Throatcutter seems to have given up on that and tries to hand Kim his manifesto. Kim declines, and instead tries to convince the others to cooperate. They're not particularly receptive to his idea, and, after a nasty bump on the noggin, he returns home to find Paris disassembling the special science tube. Kim loses his temper a bit, but, to be fair, he is having quite a bad day. He manages to resist the urge to crack open Paris's skull and leaves, but Throatcutter tries to convince him that Paris is nothing more than a burden now. Whilst that might be true, the argument is coming from someone called Throatcutter, so it's fair to question his credibility. Throatcutter is disappointed and evicts them both, leaving Kim and Paris homeless again. Back with Voyager, Janeway's giving the Acritarian ambassador a call. She says she's found the party responsible for the bombing and will trade them for her crew. The ambassador tells her that Kim and Paris have already been convicted and sentenced, so that won't be necessary, and I just wanted to say, I fucking told you so. Guess we're moving to Plan B and the prison break. We chat with the brother, and after some threats to turn them over, he agrees to give them the prison location and also some access codes that he has for reasons. Of course, there's the problem that the Akritarians will attack Voyager when they show up, but it seems someone on the writing team has remembered that we have Neelix's ship on board, despite forgetting about it in Season 2, Episode 14, Alliances, but it would be churlish of me to bring that up, so I won't. Anyway, the plan is to send the rescue team on Neelix's ship while Voyager acts as a distraction. In prison, Bandana Rags is trying to negotiate a deal for Paris's clothes, but Kim isn't currently open to offers. Before bidding begins, an alarm sounds heralding the arrival of a new prisoner. The radiant rectum opens up and out pops someone new. Surprise, it's Janeway, and she proves it's not just the CHUTE that can do some pooping. Kim says hi and we go off to fetch Paris before, presumably, climbing back up the conduit to get to Neelix's ship. They don't explain how they got Paris up there in his weakened condition, but maybe Tuvok threw him or something. Some Akritarian ships take issue with Neelix being attached to a maximum security prison, but everyone gets on board in time to leg it once they start pooping. Back on Voyager, the Doc and Kes fix them up and tell them those implants have been removed, also confirming that they were indeed designed to increase aggression. Kim and Paris leave sickbay, and after a moment where Paris says it's totes fine that Kim nearly brained him because he also said some nice words, we fly away. End of episode.